Amigos de XFM, ¿cómo están? Gracias por estarnos acompañando acá en esta entrevista que vamos a tener bastante interesante con nuestro gran invitado Chris McKinnell, quien ya les vamos a contar un poquito de quién se trata. Antes voy a saludar a nuestro amigo Israel Barrantes, todo el conocedor y experto en todos estos temas paranormales que pues normalmente nos gusta tocar aquí en XFM. Israel, bienvenido y ¿cómo estás?
Saludos, Eric Pura Violeta, muchas gracias por la invitación y bueno, aquí estamos para ayudarles y pues, con esta semejante figura, ¿verdad? Chris McKinnell.
Yo creo que todos ustedes han escuchado o visto a Annabelle, ¿verdad? La conocimos mucho por las películas, han habido muchas historias alrededor de pues, toda la parte, ¿verdad? Paranormal de esta famosa muñeca que, como les digo, normalmente, bueno, yo al menos la conocí por las películas y demás. Y tenemos la fortuna y la dicha de comenzar con Chris, que es el heredero de... pues esta famosa muñeca de Annabelle. Él es el que se encarga, ¿verdad, Isra? De cuidar y de estar en el lugar donde está la muñeca. Así que, pues, saludarlos. Hi, Chris. How are you? And thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Ok, les cuento. Warren es, Chris es nieto de los Warren, que son los investigadores paranormales, ¿verdad? Que se encargaron de cuidar y de tener a la muñeca. Y además tenés, Chris, do you have some objects for the family, right? In the house?
In the house I'm staying?
Yeah?
I have nothing haunted in the house I'm staying in, no.
No? Nothing weird?
There's no reason to carry those things with me.
Okay. Tell us about the doll, the Annabelle. What the story behind? What do you accept the carrying the doll?
Well, las películas son fantasías. No son real.
Okay.
Pero Annabelle, she is real. Okay. Y muy peligroso. But we haven't had a problem with her since about 1975. My grandparents figured out how to lock her down using a box with holy items in it and prayers said around it so that it cannot hurt anyone else.
Okay, what is the last incident of Annabelle?
I'm not sure which one the last one was, but my grandparents were driving through Pennsylvania. Now, this would have been 1977, actually. And they had gone through towns called Lord's Valley, Bethlehem, Paradise, many biblical names. Okay. And my grandfather made a joke. He said, not even the Amityville Horror or Annabelle could hurt us here. As soon as he said that, on an empty highway, something slammed into the back of their car and knocked them off the road. You don't joke around with these things. You know, people think that the paranormal is exciting and fun and a hobby, and they watch all these videos on YouTube and they watch these silly haunted programs on television. That's not real. It's actually very dangerous, and it's something that has to be taken very seriously.
Do you know what is the real power of Annabelle? I mean, is for the movie that the people know the doll, but do you know for your grandparents what is the real power of the Annabelle?
There is a demonic entity attached to Annabelle. It's not a ghost.
Okay.
And we don't destroy the doll, because if you destroy it, then you release the entity and it can go out and hurt others. Right now, it's imprisoned and it's harmless. As long as no one touches it, No one challenges it. They're safe.
Oh, anybody can contact that demoniac entity in the doll? Is closed?
No, now it's closed and nobody can get near it. When people see it, it's only by special invitation. And we make sure they cannot touch it. Once you touch it, if you are someone who is vulnerable, then your energy and the energy from that doll will mix. And then you could have a real problem. There was a homicide detective, a police officer who investigates murders. And my grandmother was helping him on a case. And afterward, he wanted to see the museum, like so many people do. My grandfather took him downstairs, and then my grandfather had to leave to go take a phone call. 5 minutes later, the officer comes running up the stairs. He's terrified, completely white. And he said he wouldn't tell my grandfather what happened, but he would tell my grandmother if she never told anyone. And she never did tell anyone. But my grandfather went downstairs, and the entire museum was torn apart. Things were all over the place. And Annabelle's box was opened. And my grandfather knew that this man had touched the doll. He had challenged the doll, and the doll attacked him.
Wow. Okay. Do you give us a little context from the history of Annabelle? Because we know about the movie, but where is the real background of history of Annabelle?
Well, I think it's in Conjuring 2. They do show you the true origin of Annabelle.
Oh, okay.
A nurse was given the doll by her mother, and there were 2 nurses living in this apartment. And they loved the doll. It was a Raggedy Ann doll. It's very cute looking until you understand it. And so they would sit at the kitchen table with them when they ate. They were, you know, they were young. They were enjoying having a sweet little doll with them. But one day, the doll picks its arms up and puts them on the table. Now, this was around 1968, 69. It was a time when the paranormal was very exciting for people. And they thought, oh, there must be a spirit in the doll. So they contacted a medium that they knew. The medium was fooled. She was told lies that this was the spirit of a little girl named Annabelle who had died in front of the house, and she was just looking for someone to love her. That's the story that you get in Annabelle Origin, okay, which is fantasy. The truth is, these entities often present themselves in a very innocent manner so that they can then get an emotional bond with you, an attachment with you. As soon as they've got that, though, it becomes a spiritual attachment, and they can start to feed off of you. That's when things turn dangerous. They bought jewelry for the doll, and they babied the doll. They took the baby to bed, or the doll to bed with them. You know, they felt great compassion because they were nurses, and they cared. But things started to get creepy. They found messages in parchment paper, which is an old-fashioned form of paper, and written in crayon, there were messages. Now, these pieces of parchment, the nurses never saw them before. They never owned them. They just appeared. And then the doll would be moved. It wouldn't be where they left it when they went to work. One time, it was waiting at the front door for them, and they got very scared. One Sunday afternoon, one of the boyfriends was asleep on the couch, and he woke up and he was very, very afraid. And he said, I just dreamed that Annabelle was choking me. And he got up, he walked over to Annabelle, and he said, you're just a dumb doll. You couldn't hurt anyone. And he threw it across the room. As soon as he did that, 3 claw marks appeared across his chest and blood soaked through his shirt. That's when they knew they needed help. They contacted their local priest. Their priest knew Ed and Lorraine, so he contacted them. As soon as my grandmother saw the doll, she knew this was something demonic, not a ghost. And the nurses immediately gave them the doll. They didn't want it. Now, it took about 7 years before my grandparents figured out a safe way to protect people from that doll. And in that time, people did get hurt.
Do you have a personal story with Annabelle, with a creepy or a bad history with the doll?
Well, when I was about 4 years old, I got locked in the museum.
Oh.
Annabelle didn't do anything, but she was there, and it scared the hell out of me. Luckily, my grandfather was in another room in the back, and he heard me screaming, and he came running. So it wasn't that bad.
Okay, but do you see the doll moving or do something?
No. There were a lot of stories. There was one story that the doll moved when my grandmother died. That's a lie. That never happened. There was another story last year that Annabelle escaped.
Yeah. I hear that story, but is not true.
No, it's not true.
Okay.
No, Annabelle did not go on a world tour.
Okay. Lucky for us.
Yes. 2020 was bad enough.
Yeah. Sympathy. If I travel to the museum, I can see the doll. Is a tour or is locked down?
No, it's locked down.
Okay.
The museum was never open to the public except by special invitation. And now we can't even do that. There are new laws in place, and my family may or may not look for a new location for the museum. I'm not sure what they're planning to do yet. They talk about it, but they haven't done anything.
Okay. Do you have a history with here in Costa Rica, right? Do you come for I don't know, third, fourth, fifth time?
I've been here 2.5 weeks. I'm staying for a total of 3 months.
Okay.
I'm putting together a proposal. We want to open a spiritual retreat and paranormal education center.
Oh, okay, that's nice. And do you go to the Sanatorium Duran, right?
Yes, we did. Yeah, I went with Israel.
Tell us about it. What do you feel? What do you know about the place?
I was overwhelmed, and I wasn't the only one. One of our team members actually had to be taken out of the sanatorium because it was truly too much for her. I was concerned for her. I could feel the weight of the stress and the horror and the depression of both the people who lived there and the people who had to work there. It was a hard place. Now, I didn't feel anything from when it was a tuberculosis hospital. I didn't feel anything about that. Everything I got was from when it was a psychiatric hospital. I was in an upstairs bathroom, and I asked the reporter with me to check this out. I want verification. I always want verification whether or not what I'm getting is right. But I got the deep sense that someone had hung themselves in the bathroom, a child. Then I went into another room, and for a short time, I was by myself. And I felt a little child come to me. And I was trying to talk to the child and help the child to pass over and to find their family. The child was hesitant, and I called on my grandmother. I had asked her earlier in the day to be with me. I was carrying her crucifix, or her rosary beads, excuse me. And both my grandmother and my grandfather came. I could feel my grandfather right there, and I knew he was like not smiling, just like, "What are you doing, Chris?" But my grandmother came, and she took the child and helped the child to pass over.
Okay, but okay, I've been in the sanatorium, and tengo que ser sincero. I don't feel anything. It's a creepy place, but it's in the Sunday morning. It's a very, very light day, and a lot of people. So I don't feel anything. But you stay in the place alone, and do you feel this? People, that little child, this vibration, is a bad place. It's a place. A ver, pueden suceder cosas.
Let me ask you,
Okay.
are you sensitive to these energies?
Not so much, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. This is the kind of thing that most people will never experience.
Okay.
Okay. But that's why we have people like Israel. And he actually contacted a spirit using the spirit box while the reporter was right there. We have it on video, which will be on the Warren Files YouTube channel. We're still putting it together. But ask Israel about what we contacted. It's very interesting.
Okay, y contanos, Isra, ya que estás aquí con nosotros, contanos un poquito de qué fue lo que contactaste.
Mira, Eric, pues nosotros, al ser investigadores, trabajamos con ciertos aparatos que nos permiten comunicarnos con las entidades. Mira, Eric, lo que es Chris es algo interesante porque cuando yo hablé con Chris, yo le dije, Chris, mira, Chris, pasa el Spirit Box o algo para poder comunicarse, y él me dijo, no, yo no necesito eso, yo soy de la vieja escuela. O sea, Chris solo iba con su iPad y nada más. Cuando utilizamos el Spirit Box y empezamos a interactuar y a hacer preguntas, pues preguntamos si alguien necesitaba ayuda, y alguien nos dijo a través del Spirit Box que sí. El Spirit Box es una caja, es la famosa caja de espíritus, que lo que hace es barrer frecuencias blancas por las cuales las entidades fantasmales se comunican a través de esas frecuencias. Entonces se comunican a través de respuestas cortas y exactas, ¿verdad? Entonces preguntamos, ¿necesitas ayuda? Y esa entidad nos respondió sí. ¿Qué necesitas? Nos respondió sed. O sea, cuando dicen sed es que obviamente quieren agua, ¿verdad? Aparentemente era un muchacho de 12 años, el cual había muerto, y bueno, estaba buscando luz para poder trascender. Con la sensibilidad de Chris y con su don, podemos llegar a entender y a sacar conclusiones que era una de las tantas entidades que hay en ese lugar que estaba buscando ayuda para poder trascender. Hay muchas entidades que necesitan trascender. O sea, la gente dice, mira, es que yo al sanatorio, yo voy y no siento nada, o mucha gente dice, mira, es que yo voy y siento mucho. O sea, para explicarte un poco y a las personas que nos están viendo, como van tantas personas al sanatorio, okay, las entidades fantasmales necesitan energía para poder comunicarse. Nosotros somos energía. Por eso es que muchas personas cuando van al sanatorio entran y salen muy cansadas energéticamente. ¿Por qué? Porque las entidades que están ahí se adhieren a las personas como parásitos, para que me entiendas así, y así ellos pueden tener energía para poder comunicarse o para poder manifestarse, como en fotografías, como en parafonías, etcétera. ¿Qué fue lo que pasó? Que esa entidad se conectó a nosotros, ¿verdad? Nos chupó la energía, a Chris salió pero molido, ¿verdad? Pero sí podemos conectarnos con varias entidades. Bueno, con la entidad de ese niño, una persona que se ahorcó en el segundo piso, o sea, fue muy interesante. O sea, definitivamente haber estado con Chris en este recurso en el sanatorio fue algo diferente. La gente va a decir, mira, eso no existe, está bien, cada uno tiene su definición y sus razones para decirlo. Nosotros que estuvimos con él y que ya hemos estudiado ese fenómeno durante varios años y en este lugar, pues nos dejó boquiabierta.
Bueno, de hecho, conozco el aparato porque alguna vez que viniste acá a Central de Radios lo utilizaste y nos dijiste que había, que alguien estaba tratando de comunicar con nosotros, que alguien estaba, algo estaba tratando de activar el Spirit Box este que nos contabas.
Sí.
Por ahí tiene que andar el video de nuestro canal.
Sí.
Chris,
I'd like to caution your audience, though.
Okay.
What Israel is doing, he's doing as a professional.
Yes.
Spirit communication is incredibly dangerous because you don't know what you're going to get. You're just opening a door and anything can come through that door. Please do not try to do this yourself. It's like trying to practice surgery just because you watched a TV show.
It's not a good idea. Okay.
No.
Eso es un punto muy importante, Eric, porque, perdón que te interrumpa.
Dale.
Porque me han escrito personas al inbox, a mi página, bueno, a mi inbox personal de Facebook y de la página, que, mae, ¿dónde compro el Spirit Box? ¿Dónde compro el Ghost Matter? ¿Dónde compro el Chaos? Mae, eso solo para gente que sabe lo que está haciendo, para profesionales. El problema es si usted se trata de contactar con entidad y por ver esa entidad no es un fantasma y es otra cosa, o sea, se las va a llevar. Entonces,
y tomando la palabra de la historia que nos cuenta Chris, uno no sabe qué va a estar contactando y así como pasó con Annabelle, hay una entidad demoniaca que viene y se queda aquí cerca de uno, cerca en algún objeto, o incluso la persona, no quiero ni imaginarme lo terrible que eso puede ser, ¿verdad? Entonces sí es bueno hacer esa aclaración también para tener cuidado. Chris, in a hypothetical case, do you go to the Sanatorium Durán and do you have the power of to clean this place with good intentions and do the work with do you do?
Not really.
Okay.
Because spirits are human. They have free will. And many are in denial. They don't want to pass over. They don't believe they're dead. They're afraid. They have a reason to stay. Or they're afraid of what is next. So they will choose to stay behind. And they're stuck. There are as many reasons for a ghost to exist as there are people. I only shared the most common ones.
Okay.
So I could try, but that place has got an awful lot of spirits, and it's got other things like residual hauntings, which means energy left from events that took place there. It made an impression on the place. There's not a spirit. It's just, if you're a sensitive, you'll pick up on that. You'll pick up on that energy. And that we can never get rid of. That will be there forever.
Is the Sanatorium a dangerous place? Do you feel something that is not a ghost?
No, I did. Everything was a ghost, but if you're a sensitive, it can overwhelm you, and it can be emotionally a difficult place. Israel had suggested that we do tours of the place, but after I saw the reaction of one of my team members, and after I visited the home of the doctor who ran the place, there's no way I would bring it the public in there. I'd be afraid that it would hurt 1 out of 100, maybe 1 out of 10.
Today,
Actually,
the place is open to the public.
Yes, it is. But it's not my responsibility. If I bring them in, then it's my responsibility.
Okay.
And I don't want to be responsible for hurting anyone. As a matter of fact, last night I had a very unusual experience.
Tell us about it.
Sí.
At 11:30 last night, I was awoken because my TV turned on by itself. And I used the Amazon Fire Stick.
Yes.
So there's no channel for it to turn on to. And yet, it was playing a Spanish song, and all I got from it was Mi Corazón. So I got out of bed, I got up, I turned off the TV. These things have happened to me before. I wasn't going to worry about it.
Okay.
But about 3 hours later, I woke up again, and I decided to check my YouTube on my iPad because it's hooked up to the TV. That song is not in my YouTube history. And then I woke up again this morning. I turn on the TV and I turn on the YouTube app because I want to see if I can find this song. And all of a sudden, another Spanish love song is playing. I mean, I like Spanish music, but I don't have any on a playlist. I have Despacito.
Do you have an idea what it is, or because?
I had an idea, but it happily turned out to be false. I was afraid a loved one of mine had hurt themselves, and this was their message, but it turned out not to be the case. So no, I don't know. I don't know if it's somebody followed me back from the sanatorium and is trying to communicate. I mean, that would make a little sense because it was Spanish and not English. And I had been communicating with that little boy in Spanish. But we'll find out. If anything else happens, I'll let you know.
Please, please. Chris, thank you very much for the time. It's important. It's very important for us to talk to you, and thank you very much because the audience, the people who follow the XFM, the radio station, loves the paranormal things and the ghost things and todas estas cosas. So thank you very much for the interview and talk to us.
My pleasure, honestly. Because of the overwhelming response we've gotten from people here in Costa Rica, Israel and I are putting together a paranormal presentation. My grandparents, their cases, my cases, and teach people a little bit about the paranormal. So keep a lookout on our Facebook pages. It'll be coming to you very soon in at least San Jose and Cartago and a few other places in the country.
Perfecto. Que Israel, igual, muchas gracias por el contacto, por estar con nosotros acá y mantenernos informados de todo esto, ¿verdad? De esta cuestión que se está creando también para enseñarle a la gente aquí en el país y demás acerca de todos estos temas, para hacerlo también con responsabilidad, ¿verdad?
Con muchísimo gusto, Eric, y estamos para ayudarlos y vamos a seguir adelante informándoles sobre todo lo que es el ámbito paranormal.
Y a ustedes también, muchas gracias por observar este video. Ojalá que les haya gustado. Ya saben, anden con cuidado, con estas cosas no se juega, es importante que tengamos responsabilidad, lo podemos ver, nosotros nos encargamos aquí de contarles cómo está el asunto, pero con responsabilidad, ¿verdad? Para que nos cuidemos todos. Gracias y nos vemos la próxima.